From this point moving forward, it's really trying to understand the track and how much it changes as we get to Sunday's race. In years past, we would see in the shootout, cars drove, perfect. Track is green, temps are low. You have things helping the cars drive really nice. And as you get into this week and into the duels and then the 500, the balance of the car changes quite a bit. I don't know how much that's going to happen. The track still is very forgiving, has a lot of grip right now. But that's the thing I'm going to be most aware of moving forward is the balance of the car, the handling conditions of the car throughout the course of a fuel run, and making sure that it drives good through the entire duel, and then make sure that it'll do that in the 500.
Okay, we'll take some questions now for Jimmie. If you have one, raise your hand. I think I saw one right here. Melinda has a question. And then we'll go to Jorge. And then Viv.
Hey, Jimmie. Melinda Adams, ESPN. You had practice today, obviously. How are you going to approach the duels? I know that you ran, the Bud shootout and everything, but how will you approach the duels?
Well, I feel like things are going to calm down versus what we saw in the shootout as we get into the week. The shootout was without any points on the line, and everybody's so charged up. I think, everybody was willing to take chances, and a lot of them. In the 500, there will be some issues and things like that will pop up probably early and midway through the race, but I think everybody will be relatively well behaved, and we'll get to the end and then really put on a show for everybody. But the opportunity to pass is there with this combination, and I think we're going to have an exciting Daytona 500. But I want to use this race car in the Daytona 500, so I don't want to lose it in practice or in the duels.
Let's go Jorge, then we'll go Viv, and then Lee.
Jorge Mendaca, FoxSports.com. Jimmie, can you talk about the sensation inside the car being in the tandem versus being in the large packs? Does it feel any different? Are you experiencing anything in the car that's different being in tandem versus pack?
The tandem, you're going a lot faster. So there was that element of speed that was with you. It became more comfortable to tandem race when we were able to share spotters and move around on the radios. Now when you do it, one, it's tough to keep the car cool. Two, you don't know what's really going on, and you're looking for a hand signal or really anything to try to know what's ahead. But from a sensation standpoint, it's really the speed. And then we have to be so far out right now to cool as the pusher that you feel like the guy you're pushing it could get turned around at any moment. So those are the two sensations and concerns that you have.
Let's go Viv, and then we'll go Lee, and then David.
Viv Bernstein, New York Times. Last year's chase ended with a two-man race between Tony and Carl, and this year's Daytona opens with Tony running for the Bud shootout and Carl taking the pole. Does the rest of the field look at them and say, okay, we're still chasing them, or are we at a clean slate here?
Well, I think we are still chasing them, but in my opinion, it's not due to what's gone on in Speed Weeks. It's the way they closed out last year. And we all know when we get to Phoenix, it's a totally different style of racing. And both of those guys were quick in Phoenix and Vegas. And when we get into the meat of the season, they ended up, those were the best two cars. And that's more of a statement to me than what's taking place here at Speed Weeks.
Let's go Lee, and then David.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Two questions. First of all, can you you won the Daytona 500 relatively early in your career. Can you kind of feel for what Tony's going through, having won 3 championships, having tons of victories, the Brickyard, still not being able to capture the Daytona 500?
I don't know what that's like, but I can remember watching. I'm surprised that he hasn't won it now that I think about it. And I remember watching Earnhardt and even Darrell Waltrip for so many years try and then get it. I know he'll get one, and it'll be awfully special then. I'm very glad to have won mine and certainly want to win more, but it's something that's top of every driver's list, and I know it's top of his.
And as far as the younger drivers, it seemed like the younger drivers had a little more difficulty since they weren't as accustomed to racing in packs as the veterans are. Do you think that they'll be able to grasp that practice before Sunday?
It's going to be tough in a short period of time. I mean, some of the guys coming in have only tandem raced. And, when you're tandem racing, you're forced to partner with someone if you like them or not, if you trust them or not, regardless of experience or if it's a rookie driver. Where in the pack, you have a little bit more free will and you can choose who you want to work with a little bit more. So not only does a rookie driver have to face the issue of not having any pack experience, but also the guys around him. You know, there's a lot more decisions that take place in pack racing. So they're probably fighting a double-edged sword. Yep.
Let's go to David Newton, David Caravello, Mark Dakotas. Get him the mic over there, please.
Yeah, Jimmie, I mean, you won in 2006, and that was the same year that Tony came in here and said somebody's going to get killed with that kind of pack racing. The other night he said it was great. He loved it better than any of the two-car drafting. What's the difference in the pack racing in 2006 and what you're seeing out there now?
Not much. I think the biggest deal was the shootout was a non-points race, and now we have points races. So I would assume the interviews following the duels and also the 500 will be much more similar to what we saw in the past when a pack crash would take place. You know, shootout's fun. You don't have much to worry about. You know, it's an all-or-nothing scenario. But when you get into points races, our interviews will change. Our opinion changes dramatically. And I think not only the drivers, but the fan base too forgets that, at certain times pack racing wasn't all that entertaining. So we need to have realistic expectations of what the race will look like. I promise you'll be an exciting finish, but there might be some points where we're logging miles, and we don't need to tear up race cars because we all want a shot at winning the Daytona 500.